Thank you, everyone, for being here today. It's an exciting announcement that we're expanding our reach into the United States. Engagement with our largest trading partner is more important now than ever. And we're seeing from day to day, from agriculture to forestry to energy, it's important for Alberta to have a voice in the United States, but not just in Washington, D.C. We're seeing more and more now with policies that are being developed at the state level, as well as litigation as well. We're seeing that in real time in the energy industry. It's important for Alberta to be on the ground, engaging with policymakers, government officials, think tanks, the business community in the United States, across the U.S. So today we're launching an expansion of our United States offices under the leadership of James Rajat, our representative in Washington, D.C. And we're announcing that offices we're expanding our presence in Washington, D.C. We're also establishing offices in Seattle, Chicago, and Denver. This is exciting for us as the province of Alberta to get to this level where we're engaging, but also in addition to that, this is a North American strategy. So not only engaging with the United States, but all of North America. So we're also putting under this strategy our Mexico office as well, under the leadership of James Rajat. It's important for us as Albertans to engage across North America. Our largest trading partner obviously is the United States. And we're also seeing today with the decoupling of supply chains, the global tension between the United States and China, that there's an opportunity here for Albertans to engage, make sure that our voices are heard in the United States with our largest trading partner. That's going to create opportunities for Albertans, making sure that our economic interests are protected, as well as jobs here in the province of Alberta. And with that, I'll invite James Rajat to provide a few comments.
Well, thank you very much, Minister Schweitzer, for that very kind introduction. I hope everybody can hear me. I'm very pleased to join you all virtually from the Canadian Embassy in Washington, D.C. for today's exciting announcement. As you all know, and as the Minister just referenced, the United States is by far Alberta's largest trading partner, accounting for nearly 90% of Alberta's total global exports. Alberta is also the second largest provincial exporter in Canada to the United States after Ontario, with bilateral trade with the U.S. supporting millions of jobs on both sides of the border. These are very significant numbers, and these are numbers that all of us want to see grow going forward. Since my appointment as Alberta's senior representative to the United States last year, myself, together with my staff here at the Alberta Washington office, have been working diligently to collaborate with U.S. decision makers on the important policy, trade, and investment files that matter to Albertans. Whether it's advocating for energy infrastructure, promoting Alberta as a responsible energy supplier, or protecting Alberta's agriculture and forestry interests, Alberta's Washington office is advocating for Alberta's interests with policymakers at both the national and at the state levels. This ongoing work is critical as we work together to rebound and grow Alberta's economy. There's never been a better time for Alberta to strengthen ties with policymakers and business leaders in the United States. And these new offices will ensure we have even more people on the ground so we can do exactly that. Since 2004, Alberta's presence in the U.S. Capitol has been key to advancing Alberta's shared economic objectives with our U.S. neighbors. These new offices will give Alberta the expanded representation and presence it needs to build on and amplify the work of the Alberta Washington office, to protect Alberta's vital economic interests and explore new opportunities more vigorously than ever, and to help Alberta make even more inroads with our most important trading partner. Improving the alignment of the Mexico office with our U.S. offices will also help us adopt a North American model that will make Alberta's government better positioned to understand the dynamics of policies and actions right across North America and take action on important issues and opportunities. Our team is very excited about the collaborative work ahead of us. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Minister and James. And with that, that concludes the formal speaking portion of our announcement. We'll move to the media Q&A. We have some reporters here in the room, so we'll start with them, and then we'll move to the phones. If you're in the room here, please identify your outlet, your name, and who you'd like to direct your question to. There's only two, so it's...
Yes, Audrey Neveu from French CBC. Sorry, I have an off-topic question, Minister, but I need to ask you to explain why you think that the government of Alberta's defensive claim against Ariella Kimmel mischaracterized your role and your maybe motivations in her termination.
On that front there, I'd actually just refer you back to the CBC article that was written yesterday. I think that clearly articulated the points that I thought needed to be clarified. Other than that, I have nothing further to say on that matter. It's before the courts, and I have nothing further to add. I thought it was just important to clarify those couple of points for context.
I understand, but we're an audio and video company too, so we would like to have you just say it verbally. What did you say to the Premier's office regarding Ariella Kimmel's termination?
On that front there, again, I just refer you back to earlier statements I've made at previous press conferences, as well as the article that the CBC wrote yesterday.
Shayla Anskolsky, CTV News. I'm actually going to ask another question on that, and because I'm with CTV, I'll have to ask you to go on record for my news station as well. It does pertain to the recent statement of defense filed this week by the Premier's office involving your former Chief of Staff. The statement of defense outlines that Kimmel was let go after you, her former boss, asked repeatedly for her to be replaced. Yet, in earlier press conferences, in your statement back in October, you described her as being hardworking and dedicated. Do you agree with that characterization?
I stand by all the comments that I've made at previous press conferences. And if you're looking for context, I'd refer you to the CBC article yesterday. I think it actually properly characterized my comments and thoughts.
Do you have a follow-up?
I do, yes. But last month, when you were asked about the situation, again, you described her as being hardworking, dedicated. You provided a character reference for her for the future. And yet, in this statement of claim, she's being described as gossiping, engaging in inappropriate and disrespectful behavior. Did you not have any input in the decision to not give her a job going forward, or were you not consulted in future plans with her within the legislature?
And again, this matter is before the courts, so I have to be mindful for what I say. I'd refer you back, though, to previous press conferences where I provided comment on this, as well as the CBC article from yesterday properly characterizes my thoughts on the matter.
Would you be able to just on the record clarify what those statements were, just so that we are able to use them?
My press secretary can send you the article if you need it.
Thank you. With that, we'll move to the phones. Operator, can you please put through our first caller?
Jeff Levine, iPolitics.
Good afternoon, Minister. I'm just curious, you're making this announcement as we're seeing representatives of the federal government in Washington today. And it's got me curious, why do you think Alberta will have a better chance of getting their voices heard by Americans when your federal counterparts seem to be struggling?
Well, on this point here, just to give you some context, the province of Quebec has around 100 representatives across the United States. We're taking a similar page to other provinces in Canada to make sure that our voice is heard across the U.S. From time to time, as you may have picked up in Canada, provinces and the federal government aren't always on the same page when it comes to policy. And we want to make sure that Alberta's voice is clearly heard in the United States on policy interests and economic interests that are relevant to our people.
Do you have a follow-up, Jeff?
Yes. So do you feel that the federal government's not doing enough to represent Alberta in the state?
Well, the only point that I would raise is that we're seeing in the United States where Alberta historically engaged primarily in Washington, D.C. at the federal level. What we're seeing right now is that more and more policies that are being developed at the state level, either through governors or various policies that they're bringing in, is having an impact on the province of Alberta. So we want to make sure we have more people on the ground engaging with elected officials, government officials, think tanks as well, to advance Alberta's interests with our largest trading partner and our biggest economic partner in the United States.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Minister. Operator, could you please put through our next caller?
Lisa Johnson, Post Media.
Hi, thanks for taking my question. I'm curious, Minister, and Mr. Rajotte, if you'd like to comment as well, whether or not you can quantify the results of all the work that has been put into these offices in the United States so far and in Washington, D.C. I know that when Mr. Rajotte was appointed last year, Premier Kenney was hopeful that he would be able to make sure that the Keystone XL project gets done and to work on a coordinated North American energy strategy. So I'm wondering if you can point to any particular successes and if you could quantify what investment this work has brought into Alberta, or what kinds of things can we tell people has been accomplished?
I'm going to defer to James Rajotte, but I'm going to make one quick point as well. In addition to the efforts that James Rajotte is going to be doing at the political and policy level, we also are expanding our reach through Invest Alberta in the United States to focus on attracting investment into our province, as well as trade opportunities outside of Alberta as well. Mr. Rajat and his team are focused on policy that impacts Alberta. So, Mr. Rajat, if you have further comments.
Sure, Minister. Thank you very much for the question. Obviously, on Keystone, that was a decision made on day one of the Biden administration. We worked very hard engaging with stakeholders on both sides of the political aisle to get our message across. We were obviously disappointed in that decision. But I think if we're looking at success stories, the completion of Line 3, Enbridge's Line 3, which is in production now, which has doubled capacity of Alberta crude down to the United States. If we look at Line 5, we've worked very closely with 3 other provinces and with the federal government to have the federal government enact the 1977 treaty to file the amicus brief on the federal side. So we're closely with the federal government, with the State Department, Global Affairs, to ensure that that line continues to operate. If you look at Trans Mountain, that's proceeding, and that actually has a big impact in terms of U.S. markets as well. And some of the other issues, deforestation legislation, which was active in both New York and in California, we were successful in arguing Alberta's case, again, working very much as a Team Canada approach, in arguing why that legislation should not target the boreal forest in Alberta because of our excellent forest management practices. The legislation has been paused in New York and it was amended and ultimately vetoed in California. Number of examples, I mean, the trucker vaccination program that Alberta had with Montana as well, enabling truckers from Alberta to go down and get vaccinated in Montana. We're going to reaffirm our memorandum of understanding with the state of Alaska. So there's all sorts of initiatives we're working on. But as the minister correctly identified, we focus more on policy, we focus more on advocacy, and trade and investment. Investment is very much under the Investment Alberta gambit.
Lisa, do you have a follow-up?
Great, thanks. Yeah, I guess I'm wondering, for us to be able to explain to Albertans the return on investment in terms of expanding these offices, how would you characterize that? I mean, for what public money is being invested in this? And thank you for that outline. That's really helpful, Mr. Rajat.
Well, and I think Mr. Rajat articulated quite well the different policy areas that he's worked on that have a big economic impact for Alberta. Just the transportation corridor alone, getting our people that are trucking goods across the U.S. border, that had a big impact for our province. But plus, when you take a look at emerging issues, obviously we have challenges in the United States. There's pipeline litigation that's happening. But hopefully, Mr. Rajat and the team in the United States can head off some of those sometimes where people don't have all the details on the environmental record of Alberta and what we're doing on the ground here. So making sure we educate policymakers in the United States and hopefully try and head off any misunderstandings in the future.
All right, with no other callers in the queue.
I'm also happy to add.
Sorry, James.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, James, go ahead.
Minister, I'm happy to add to that. If we look at, we cover all of the policy items at the national and state level. So as the minister referenced, Quebec would have 8 to 9 offices, 100 people right across the United States. We're adding additional offices to focus on those regional issues. So if we have an issue pop up in California, the Pacific Northwest, the Seattle office can deal with that. In the Midwest, we have the Chicago office deal with that, whether it's Line 5 in Michigan, or the $30 billion of trade that occurs between Illinois and Alberta every year. And in fact, the minister's been very strategic in locating these offices. Our number 1 trading state is Illinois. Our number 2 state is Washington State. So that's where 2 of the 3 offices would be located. And we have $3 billion worth of trade with the state of Colorado, but they'll cover the whole Midwest region, right, in fact, down to Texas. So this enables us to focus on any national or state level issue like country of origin labeling that happens both at the national and state level. This really gives us more feet on the ground in those particular regions where we need to have Alberta's voice.
Thank you. And with no other callers in the queue, that concludes our press conference for today.